The legendary wedding of Prince Rainier III and actress Grace Kelly. Their wedding was a modern fairy tale. 32-year-old Prince Rainier III of Monaco marries the beautiful 26-year-old actress Grace Kelly, a lady of the people, although at the time she was already a Hollywood star. Their wedding was one of the most anticipated events of its time. April 19, 1956 was the wedding, not in vain received its name. This mind-blowing day is still given to us in our memories, as the press scrutinized and continues to scrutinize every detail of the wedding ceremony. 2 rings. They say behind every great man is a woman. Monaco would not be the place it is if Rainier had not married Grace Kelly, whom he met during the 1955 Cannes Film Festival. After their first meeting, Grace and Rainier began a long correspondence. They managed to keep their love story hidden from the press until Rainier traveled to the United States to see his bride-to-be for Christmas. When Prince Rainier proposed to Kelly, he gave her a Cartier engagement ring. It was set with rubies and diamonds, featuring the red and white flag of Monaco and taken from the family treasury. But she also had a second ring. And historians disagree on how it happened. There are 2 plausible hypotheses. At the time of the engagement, Kelly was starring in the movie High Society, where she had to wear a Butafra engagement ring. But Rainier III offered to buy her a second ring for the movie, which, as Grace later happily explained to the press, allowed her to wear her real second engagement ring in the movie. It was a platinum ring with a 10.48-carat emerald-cut diamond surrounded by baguette-cut diamonds. There is another theory that the second ring was the one the prince intended to make as an engagement ring for Grace Kelly, but while the jewelers were looking for the right stone and making the ring, Rainier proposed to red and white ring. 80 luggage bags and 1,600 reporters. Grace Kelly traveled with her family, bridesmaids and about 80 bags of luggage to the French Riviera aboard the ocean liner SS Constitution after the prince proposed to her. Upon arrival in Monaco, the princess-to-be was greeted by 20,000 out of 23,000 of her future subjects. The next 2 weeks were spent preparing for the wedding of the century. Reporters and admirers flocked to the small principality in such numbers that the prince had to call in the French police to reinforce order in the state. This wedding of the century was actually Kelly's second wedding to Prince Rainier III. They had to abide by Monaco's laws and hold a small civil ceremony the day before the lavish religious ceremony. More people watched the wedding, which took place in Monaco's cathedral, than any previous event in history. Some 1,600 reporters and photographers attended the event, estimated to be more than covered the entire European theater of operations during World War II. The ceremony, held at St. Nicholas Cathedral, was attended by 600 guests, including Hollywood celebrities Ava Gardner, Cary Grant and Gloria Swanson. Greek millionaire Aristotle Onassis was also spotted among the guests. The wedding ceremony was watched by about 30 million people from different countries. The scale of the wedding ceremony and Grace Kelly's fame in America and beyond contributed greatly to Monaco's history as a recognizable brand with a reputation as a glamorous luxury resort. The wedding of the prince and the movie star was dream magic that earned it the title Wedding of the Century. Princess Grace's presence gave Monaco a special halo. Thanks to this extra class and the magnet of the tax haven, the waves of celebrities that occasionally hit Monaco became a tidal wave. The religious ceremony was held in the principality's main cathedral in Monacoville, and at the end of the service a congratulatory message from the Pope was read out. The couple then drove through the streets of Monte Carlo in an open-top car, greeting everyone on the streets. Grace Kelly's dress for the religious ceremony, designed by Helen Rose and made iconic, was a gift to the actress from her film studio Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. The designer was chosen for a reason. She worked with Grace Kelly on her closet for one of Kelly's most famous and final films, 1950 SIX's High Society. Helen Rose had also previously designed Elizabeth Taylor's first wedding dress when she married Conrad Nicky Hilton Jr. as well as Taylor's dress in Father of the Bride. Grace Kelly's wedding dress has become a source of inspiration for designers, brides-to-be and fashionistas, a symbol of fairy tale weddings and one of the most frequently referenced wedding gowns in history. Every detail of Grace's dress was carefully considered, from the ivory color to the pink lace. It was a dress with a high neckline, long sleeves, a long puffy skirt and a ponytail over 3 meters long. It was made of 125-year-old vintage Brussels lace, taffeta and thousands of hand-embroidered pearls. The lace embellished with pearls also adorned the prayer book, shoes and cap, above which was a wreath of orange blossoms. The veil was specially designed so as not to hide the bride's face. The future Princess of Monaco chose not to wear a tiara on her wedding day and instead opted for a lace and pearl-embellished Juliet cap to hold her veil. Grace Kelly carried a prayer book and a small bouquet of lilies of the valley down the aisle instead of the huge traditional wedding bouquet. According to Insider magazine, in 1956, the Princess of Monaco's wedding dress cost $65,200, which is equivalent to about $623,000 today. This makes it one of the most expensive royal wedding dresses to date. Neiman Marcus designer Joe Hong designed the dresses for the bridesmaids and flower girls. He chose a yellow organdy and silk dress with puffed sleeves and a hat. Today, Grace Kelly's famous wedding dress is owned by the Philadelphia Museum of Art. Grace's dress for the small civil ceremony held on the eve of the wedding of the century was also designed by Helen Rose. The lace was hand-embroidered on taffeta with silk thread to create a three-dimensional effect. Ms. Kelly, dressed in a beige lace gown and tight-fitting hat, was visibly nervous throughout the ceremony, the British channel BBC wrote on that memorable day. Although the civil ceremony was smaller in scale, it was just as lavishly decorated and took place in the throne room of the palace in Monaco. After the official civil ceremony, the couple stepped out onto the balcony of the princely palace, where about 500 Monegasques and Monaco guests awaited their arrival below. The newlyweds, surrounded by an array of red and white flowers, the colors of the Monaco flag, greeted the crowd for a few minutes before heading back inside. The groom's costume. The groom, Prince Rainier III, who according to Monegasque tradition appeared after the bride at the religious ceremony, was dressed in a military uniform that he himself designed based on Napoleon Bonaparte's military uniform. A wedding banquet and a cake weighing over 90 kilograms. At the royal wedding banquet, there were no simple chicken dishes on the menu. Guests were treated to caviar, lobster, smoked salmon, salami and, of course, champagne. And for dessert a 6-tier wedding cake weighing more than 90 kilograms was served. It was cut with a princely sword. The cake was decorated with miniature copies of Monaco palace facades, icing depicting scenes from Monaco's history, and cherubs under the crown. "I do" was said 3 times. Grace Kelly and Prince Rainier III had to say their precious "I do" to each other twice, during the civil ceremony and then at the religious ceremony on April 19. However, the civil ceremony, which took place on April 18 and lasted a total of about 40 minutes, had to be done twice. The first time for real and the second time for members of the MGM press and television. Gifts for the wedding of the century. In honor of Grace Kelly becoming a princess, she was given a Weimaraner dog, Jack, Kelly's brother. He also gave her one of his Olympic bronze medals in rowing. Their father, Jack, won 3 Olympic gold medals in rowing and is the only rower in the U.S. Olympic Hall of Fame. Cary Grant and his wife had a poodle named April, who Grace often played with when she visited their home in Palm Springs. Grace Kelly also received a French poodle puppy, which she named Oliver, as a wedding gift from Cary Grant. The future Princess of Monaco arrived in the principality with both dogs for her wedding. The Prince of Monaco received the yacht Deo Juvant II as a gift from Aristotle Onassis, on which the couple spent their honeymoon. On the eve of the wedding, Kelly and her husband-to-be received a gift from the people of Monaco, a cream and black Rolls-Royce convertible, which they drove around the principality after the ceremony. The white dove that the couple released into the sky after the religious ceremony on April 19 was another gift from the people of Monaco. They also received a huge bag of congratulatory letters and wishes from the people of Monaco, as well as some gorgeous bouquets of flowers, after the wedding. After the ceremony, the newlyweds drove through the streets of Monaco in an open-top car, greeting thousands of citizens and tourists who had arrived for the celebration. The couple spent their honeymoon cruising the Mediterranean on Prince Rainier's yacht Deo Juvant II, hidden from public view for the first time in months.